Welcome to Haunted Talks, the official podcast of the Haunted Walk, offering ghost tours and paranormal adventures in Kingston, Ottawa, and Toronto, Ontario. My name is Jim Dean. I am the creative director, and we really appreciate you joining us for today's episode. You're walking down the dusty aisles of your local antique store, browsing through the objects in hopes of finding the perfect treasure. You sort through the old items on the shelves, piece by piece, until you find it. It's perfect. You buy it and bring it home. However, after it sits in your house for a while, odd things start to happen. Occurrences that you have never witnessed before. A sense of dark gloom permeates your home. You question if the object is causing this activity. The strange incidents that cannot be explained. Your pets refuse to go near the thing. Your children begin to talk about new imaginary friends. You are convinced that the seemingly innocuous object you just brought home is haunted. In paranormal research, we often spend a lot of time focused on buildings and sites that are potentially haunted, but we rarely look at objects. Although they receive less attention, haunted objects are a common subject for paranormal investigators who are frequently called in to research the origins of a haunting. It seems that spirits are just as attracted to movable things as they are to immovable places. In many of the stories we will be talking about in the episode, people have accidentally found themselves in possession of a paranormal item after picking it up at an antique or secondhand store, unaware of its dark origins. Other times, people actively seek out haunted objects, like the time we purchased a haunted doll for this podcast, back in episode 52. In fact, there is an entire industry out there, with thousands of listings on eBay and other sites dedicated to the buying and selling of haunted objects. And a quick update on our haunted doll, Freya. Unless she has been responsible for the pandemic, we have not really observed any activity involved with bringing her into our Ottawa ticket office. However, she has certainly frightened a few of our staff on occasion who have opened a drawer and unexpectedly found her there. We'll keep you updated if anything further develops. Whether you go looking for one or accidentally stumble upon it at your local shop, after hearing these stories, you may think twice about purchasing a potentially haunted object. But before we get to that, it is the first weekend of October. The spooky season has officially arrived. And of course, we have a lot for you to do and take part in this month with us at the Haunted Walk. If you're in or around Kingston, Ottawa, or Toronto, we would love to have you out on one of our ghost tours. We have our original Haunted Walk in all three cities, plus our Ghosts of the Mackenzie King Estate in Ottawa and Gatineau. And in Toronto, we also have Spirits of the Distillery District, Campus Secrets and Spectres at the University of Toronto, and the Ghosts of Black Creek Pioneer Village. If you're outside of our geographical area, no worries, we have lots for you to do as well. Starting this Saturday night and every Saturday throughout the month of October, we will be offering our virtual haunted campfires. And our first one this Saturday night, on October the 2nd, will feature Amin Joel, a British Columbia storyteller who will be sharing all the great ghost stories from Vancouver. After that, we'll be heading to London, England, Salem, Massachusetts, Texas, and of course, ending things up on Devil's Night with a round of Fact or Fiction, where we at the Haunted Walk will try to trick you into believing stories that aren't true. In addition to our virtual haunted campfires, wherever you are in the world, you can take part in our Haunting at Home, our online guided audio experience, which challenges you to complete 6 experiments with the paranormal in your own house. It's part a crowdsourced experiment and part a spooky adventure to do during the Halloween season. For information about our ghost tours, virtual haunted campfires, or haunting at home, please visit our website, which is hauntedwalk.com. To be the first to hear about the things we have going on, be sure to follow us on social media on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter, all 4 at Haunted Walk. And finally, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the show wherever you listen to us. And if you have a moment, we certainly would appreciate a 5-star review. Most people who study haunted objects believe that paranormal energies can attach to objects the same way they do with properties. But how can the haunting of multiple mass-produced items be explained? If you're curious to see what these haunted objects look like, go to our website, hauntedwalk.com/podcasts, and there click on episode 110. We have an image gallery with images from all of the objects. One of the most famous examples is a series of art prints by an Italian artist that were widely circulated following the Second World War. The series generally depicts young boys crying or looking upset. Some believe that the biography or backstory of the painting's subject, the sad boy, might explain the paranormal activity or curse associated with it. Others are convinced the artist intended for the print to have darker energies. Most simply, don't know what to believe. In the late 1980s, panic about the crying boy paintings was further ignited. A house fire was reported in England, where the print of the crying boy was the only object to survive the blaze, completely unscathed. Reports of similar incidences flooded the newsroom, and even skeptical firefighters had to admit seeing many crying boy prints miraculously surviving infernos. People claimed to try and burn the print themselves, only to see the paper refuse to ignite, or flames mysteriously go out after only a few seconds. After a burning party for over 2,500 prints was held, the excitement died down. But the memory of the crying boy print remains, and many wonder how such a plain, mass-produced object could produce so much fear. In 2010, Steve Punt, a British writer and comedian, investigated the curse in a BBC Radio 4 production, reaching the conclusion that the prints were treated with a varnish containing fire retardant, and that the string holding the painting to the wall would be the first to deteriorate, resulting in the painting landing face down on the floor and thus being protected from the fire. If you happen to have one of these prints, we would be very curious to hear about your experiences. In the winter of 1987, the Tallman family ventured to their local second-hand store and purchased a bunk bed for their children. The moment someone first slept in the new item, strange things began to happen in their home. Most of the early activity was directed at the children. They saw a red-eyed creature in the room, an invisible fire in the corner, and a clock radio kept going on and off on its own accord. Doors banged open and shut. A chair rocked by itself, and disembodied voices called out from empty rooms. At first, the parents believed overactive imaginations were to blame. But then, things escalated, and the Tallmans decided to bring in their pastor, who said he felt the presence of the devil, and blessed the home. This didn't seem to help matters. One night, after returning from work, the father witnessed a raging fire in the garage. After turning away to grab an extinguisher, he was horrified and confused to look back to see the fire was no longer there. In fact, there was no evidence of a fire at all. When he picked up his lunch pail to return inside, it was thrown from his hands by a strong, unseen force. A skeptical relative was caring for the children one night when they saw a demonic figure. After enduring all of this activity, the family finally had enough. The bunk beds were destroyed, and the Tallmans left the residence for good. If this story sounds familiar, you may have seen it on the popular TV show Unsolved Mysteries, which we explored as a TV cultural phenomena back in episode 87. The case of the Tallman House remains one of the most popular and talked about paranormal segments from the hit show. Although the Tallmans reported no paranormal activity prior to purchasing the bunk beds, some still wonder if the strange events are linked to the property rather than the object. However, since moving from the property and removing the infamous piece of furniture, no further activity has been reported at the location. Seeing pictures of the bunk beds, along with the strange experiences reported by the family, really makes you wonder where the wood for that bed frame came from. Many people know the story of Annabelle, the terrifying haunted doll that has been witnessed moving around on its own, physically harming people and bringing negative energy upon anyone who touches it. Haunted dolls like Annabelle have inspired countless movies and horror stories. However, few people know the story of another infamous haunted doll named Robert, now on display at the Fort East Martello Museum in Florida. A one-of-a-kind toy that was originally bought in Germany for a boy named Otto. The doll's eerie sailor suit was likely an outfit Otto wore as a child. The doll was seemingly cursed from the beginning. When he was young, Otto could be heard talking to the doll, and the two were inseparable, even into adulthood. Otto blamed strange occurrences on his friend, simply saying, "Robert did it," as seriously as he would blame another human being. Throughout his life, people found the unbreakable connection between the two very strange, and there is an ongoing rumor that Otto's wife was driven mad by the doll. As Otto aged, Robert was placed in a turreted window in his home. Passing school children would witness the doll appearing and disappearing. After Otto passed away, the doll was given to the new owner of his house. Robert remained in place by the window, terrifying a whole new generation of school children with his disappearing act. Visitors at the house also reportedly heard giggling and footsteps in the vicinity of the doll. Robert is now safely locked in a protective case at the museum to prevent him from moving around. But he's attracted even more followers and is now one of the most famous haunted objects in the world. The spooky painting, "The Hands Resist Him," depicts a young boy and a life-sized, creepy female doll standing in front of a glass paneled door against which many hands are pressed, as if trying to get out. This painting has produced one of the largest followings of amateur paranormal investigators curious to unlock the mystery of this weird object. Bill Stoneman painted the surreal image in 1972 and quickly sold it at a solo art exhibit to actor John Marley, who is best known for his roles in Love Story and The Godfather. Within a few years of it being purchased, 3 men with close ties to the painting, including Marley and a famous art critic, had all died. Decades later, the painting resurfaced, this time on eBay, after being abandoned in a back alley for unknown reasons. The eBay description made a series of claims that the painting was cursed or haunted. Included in those claims were that the characters in the painting moved during the night, and that they would sometimes leave the painting and enter the room in which it was being displayed. Also included with the listing were a series of photographs that were said to be evidence of an incident in which the female doll character threatened the male character with a gun that she was holding, causing him to attempt to leave the painting. An unsettling disclaimer was included with the listing, absolving the seller from all liability if the painting was purchased. The painting quickly became an early internet hit, and many people were interested in researching the cursed object. Because of this interest, Stoneham came forward with what inspired him to paint such a haunting scene. The boy, he said, was himself. It was modeled on a photograph taken when he was 5. The title, "The Hands Resist Him," comes from a poem written by his then wife. It reads in part, "The hands resist him, like the secret of his birth." Stoneham was adopted. The children's hands, he says, represent other lives. The glass door, the barrier between worlds, and the doll, his guide between those worlds. Some people who viewed the listing online experienced weird things afterwards, like feeling ill or disoriented. Others, who later bought prints when the painting got famous, reported their residence suddenly acquired a very negative energy, and their friends started to refuse to come over if it was on display. The painting now rests in the hands of a gallery owner in Michigan, safely tucked away from public view. The original artist has no explanation for how the painting became associated with such dark energies. When the owners of the Traveling Museum of the Paranormal and the Occult say, "I've never seen anything like it in my life," people tend to pay attention. They're referring to what is now called the Dark Mirror, a rather small piece of glass in an ornate golden frame, intended for scrying, the practice of looking into a reflective object, like a mirror or crystal ball, searching for messages. Someone attending a psychic fair took an interest in the scrying mirror and purchased it. But after some strange incidents and negative feelings about the mirror during scrying sessions, the new owner donated it to the unique Paranormal Museum, where it immediately gained a lot of attention. The first time the mirror was displayed publicly, the stories began to pile up. One visitor claimed to see their decomposing corpse when they looked into the dark mirror. Others had unsettling visions of distorted faces, laughing or grinning at them. Later the same day, a palm print refused to buff out of the mirror. After returning home, the museum owners felt strangely unsettled. The next time it was brought out for display, people had physical reactions, describing everything from electric shocks to nausea. For skeptics, an infamous live reaction to the mirror's strange reflections was captured on a radio show. The mirror is still regularly trotted out on public view, and the frequency of incidents has only grown over time. They do leave it up to you, though, if you choose to look at the reflection. If you think you may be in possession of a haunted object, I would love to hear about it. You can always reach me by email at jim@hauntedwalk.com. And if you aren't certain if you have a haunted object, I might suggest trying our Haunting at Home, our online paranormal audio experience. And during the Trigger Object section, try using your potentially haunted object. I can't wait to hear what you discover. Next time you are perusing your local antique shop or secondhand store, or looking at eBay listings, remember, it is caveat emptor, buyer beware. You just never know which of these objects might in fact be haunted. Thank you so much for joining us. To learn more about our ghost tours in Kingston, Ottawa, and Toronto, as well as our online experiences, including our virtual haunted campfires taking place every Saturday in October, and the Haunting at Home, where you can turn the lights down low in your own house and have a little spooky fun with the paranormal, information on all of those can be found on our website, which is hauntedwalk.com. If you think you may own a haunted object, please connect with us by email or through social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, all at Haunted Walk. As always, a special thank you to our Haunted Talks team, including Michelle Dennis, our amazing audio editor, Brittany Buss, our researcher and writer for this episode, and Kevin MacLeod at incompetech.filmmusic.io for the additional music, a full list of which can be found on our website. Be sure to subscribe to the show wherever you listen to us, and 5-star reviews are always greatly appreciated. Until we meet again, sweet dreams.